You know, when you sent over this deep dive request, I gotta admit, alien abductions weren't really what I was expecting to be covering.
Right.
But then I started digging into Sherry Wild's story. And
Oh,
let me tell you, this is one wild ride.
it's
So
a
we're talking missing time,
yeah.
spaceships, and a whole lot of questions about our place in the universe.
Absolutely.
It's
It's
a,
pretty fascinating. You
yeah,
start with this seemingly ordinary woman,
yeah.
a real estate agent just living a normal life, and then suddenly she's thrust into this world of extraordinary experiences.
Exactly. And it all begins with something that I think a lot of people can relate to,
Yeah.
missing time.
Mm-hmm.
In 1968, Sherry's just 17 at the time,
Okay.
driving to a friend's house when 2 hours just vanish.
Wow.
She remembers details leading up to it and then nothing.
That's why.
It's not until 20 years later,
Oh, wow.
prompted by a wave of UFO sightings in her area, that these memories come flooding back.
This emergence of suppressed memories
Uh-huh.
is a really common thread in a lot of abduction accounts.
Yeah.
It's like something triggers the subconscious
Yeah.
to unlock these hidden experiences.
Right.
In Sheriff's case, it sparked this obsession to understand what happened,
Of course.
leading her down the path of hypnosis.
Okay, hypnosis.
Yeah.
Now that's where things get a little tricky for me.
Sure.
I mean, how do you separate real memories from suggestion
Right.
or imagination,
Yeah.
especially for someone who was as initially skeptical as Sherry?
Sherry had those same reservations too.
Okay.
She was even worried about investigators manipulating her under hypnosis.
Right.
But she was drawn to a hypnotist named Stanley Mitchell,
Okay.
who had a really solid reputation.
Mm-hmm.
He even developed field hypnosis techniques for the military.
Wow.
So his credibility wasn't in question.
So we're not talking about some like shady back alley hypnotist.
No, not at all.
This guy Mitchell seems like the real deal.
Yeah, he's very credible.
What happened when Sherry went under?
Yeah.
Did the hypnosis unlock anything?
It did. And in vivid detail,
Wow.
Sherry describes the experience as incredibly immersive,
Okay.
like being transported back to that missing time incident.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she recalled an encounter with an alien being she refers to as Da.
Gah.
Yes,
That's a strange name for an alien being.
it is.
Is there any significance to that, or is that just what she called him?
She felt this strange familiarity with him,
Okay.
as though the name was implanted in her mind.
Interesting.
She described him as unsettling, but also oddly reassuring, like he was trying to ease her fear throughout the experience.
Okay, so what exactly did she remember happening?
That,
Was it the typical alien abduction scenario?
from her account, yes.
Okay.
She described a physical examination being on a spaceship,
Mm-hmm.
even the harvesting of her eggs.
Wow.
It's a deeply personal and invasive experience,
Mm.
and understandably traumatic.
Yeah, that would definitely mess with your head.
Sure.
So one abduction, some recovered memories, and then life goes back to normal.
Well, not quite. This hypnosis session seems to open a floodgate.
Uh-oh.
Sherry started recalling other encounters,
Okay.
suggesting these abductions had been happening throughout her life.
Mm-hmm.
But the memories were suppressed.
So it wasn't just a one-time event. These beings were a recurring presence in her life.
Right.
That's a whole other level of unsettling.
Yeah.
How did this affect your family?
It put a huge strain on her family life.
I can imagine.
The abductions became more frequent after the regression,
Right.
and her husband struggled to cope with her experiences.
Yeah, imagine trying to explain that to your loved ones.
Yeah.
Talk about a conversation stopper.
Yeah.
So not only is she dealing with this mind-blowing alien situation,
Right.
but it's starting to tear her family apart.
Yeah.
Talk about a nightmare scenario.
It gets worse.
Oh, no.
Sherry began to believe her daughter was also being abducted.
Oh, gosh.
This completely shattered her.
Yeah.
She felt responsible, like she was putting her entire family in danger
Right.
by attracting this unwanted attention.
So she's trapped between these terrifying experiences
Yeah.
and the fear of losing her family.
Mm-hmm.
What happened next?
Sherry reached a breaking point.
Okay.
Overwhelmed, isolated, and consumed by fear, she attempted suicide.
Oh, wow.
She remembers driving towards a tree intending to crash,
Okay.
but woke up safe at home the next morning.
What?
Her car was fine, and she was dressed in clean clothes.
Wait, so the aliens intervened?
It seems that way.
They saved her life.
It appears so.
That's both incredibly benevolent and incredibly creepy at the same time.
Absolutely.
That's really strange.
It was a turning point for Sherry.
Yeah.
This apparent intervention forced her to reevaluate her perspective
Okay.
on the entire situation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe things weren't as black and white as she initially thought.
Right.
Maybe there was more to these beings and their intentions than she understood.
So what did she do next?
Oh.
Did she just try to ignore it all and move on?
Sherry started researching UFOs and alien abductions, attending conferences,
Okay.
trying to find answers.
Mhm.
But something didn't sit right.
What was that?
The prevailing theories focused on fear victimization
Yeah.
and malevolent intentions
Yeah.
that didn't resonate with her own experiences.
So she was actively seeking out information,
Yes.
but finding that the dominant narrative didn't fit her personal truth.
Exactly.
What was it about her experiences that clashed with these theories?
Well, Sherry remembered these beings teaching her what they called the 3 important things to know.
Okay.
The first being, we are all one with our Creator.
That doesn't exactly scream evil overlords, does it?
Not really.
It suggests a much more spiritual, even benevolent aspect
right.
to these encounters.
Yeah,
It seems like this was a pivotal moment for Sherry,
absolutely.
shifting her perspective from fear to something more complex.
Yeah, it really challenged the typical abduction narrative
Yeah.
and forced her and others to consider alternative interpretations of these encounters.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
going to dive deeper into that next.
This is getting good.
Yeah.
I am fascinated.
It's a good one.
All right, we'll be back. So rather than buying into this idea of aliens as these malevolent invaders,
Right.
Sherry starts questioning this whole victim narrative.
Exactly.
It sounds like she's actively pushing back against the fear-based interpretations
Yeah,
that were so prevalent in the UFO community at the time.
absolutely.
It takes a lot of courage to stand by your convictions,
Yeah.
especially when they challenge the prevailing narrative.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So she's really going against the grain here.
Definitely.
And this unwavering belief in a deeper meaning
Mm-hmm.
leads Sherry to a pretty pivotal realization. She
Wow.
starts to see fear as this distorting lens,
Right.
clouding her understanding of these experiences.
Yeah, like a filter almost.
Yeah, it was as if she needed to confront and overcome that fear
Right.
to truly grasp what was happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's starting to see these encounters in a new light. But what about the abductions themselves? Did they just stop?
Well, actually, there was a period of about 20 years
Wow.
where the abductions ceased.
Okay.
Sherry describes it as an agreement she made with the beings
Really?
to live a normal life for 2 decades.
A 20-year break.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a complete end to the contact,
Sure.
just a temporary pause.
Yeah, they would just observe her
Okay.
during that time.
An agreement, like a cosmic truce.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So they were giving her time to process and integrate
Right.
these experiences before moving on to the next chapter.
I see.
And just as agreed,
Well,
after those 20 years,
yeah,
Dad returns.
he does.
Okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
So what happened this time?
Well,
Was it another abduction?
this time Day's return wasn't for another abduction.
Okay.
It was to prepare Sherry for what he called the Great Earth Changes.
The Great Earth Changes.
Yes,
That sounds ominous.
it does.
Are we talking like apocalyptic scenarios?
Well, no, not exactly.
Oh,
It's not quite what you might expect from a typical doomsday prophecy.
okay.
According to Day, these changes weren't about physical destruction,
Oh,
but a shift in consciousness.
okay.
He described it as a planetary awakening,
Oh,
a collective evolution of the human spirit.
so we're not talking about earthquakes and tsunamis,
No.
but a more fundamental transformation of how humanity views itself and the universe.
Exactly.
That's a pretty big concept to grasp.
It is.
And what about Sherry's role in all of this?
What-
Did Day just drop this bombshell and disappear again?
Sherry's role becomes even more intriguing at this point.
Okay.
Day explained that she had been trained
Okay.
as a light reader.
A light reader.
Yes, someone who could help souls determine their path
Oh, wow.
during this transition.
So like a cosmic guidance counselor?
Yeah, you can think of it that way.
Okay.
He claimed that this training occurred during a 3-day period
Okay.
where time was suspended
Right.
for everyone on Earth.
Time was suspended for everyone.
Yeah,
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
it does.
And Sherry was involved in this mass soul evaluation.
It seems that way.
Wow.
It's definitely a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And Sherry doesn't remember this event consciously.
Really?
She had to download the memories into her mind.
Okay.
They were apparently just too overwhelming for her to process fully.
So we've got a global event,
Yeah.
suspended time,
Mm-hmm.
and a secret training program for cosmic guidance counselors.
Exactly.
This is definitely pushing the boundaries of what we consider reality.
Yeah.
What happens next in Sherry's journey?
Well, this is where things take an unexpected turn.
Okay.
Right when she's grappling with these revelations.
Mm-hmm.
The economic recession hits.
Oh.
Sherry loses everything
Oh, wow.
and finds herself drawn to the Arizona desert for a fresh start.
Okay, so she's lost her home,
Right.
her financial security. Now she's in the desert seeking solace.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a major turning point here.
Yeah.
What happens in Arizona that changes everything?
Well, it's in the solitude of the desert
Okay.
that Sherry receives her final life-altering revelation.
Okay.
Dia returns. But this time,
Okay.
he reveals a truth
Okay.
that shatters everything she thought she knew about herself and her place in the universe.
I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Okay, you ready?
What is this bombshell revelation?
Dee reveals that Sherry, along with millions of others,
Okay.
volunteered for this earthly mission before incarnating.
Volunteered.
Yes,
So she chose to be abducted.
it appears so.
To experience all of that trauma and confusion?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's definitely a challenging concept to grasp.
Why would anyone willingly sign up for that kind of experience?
It's a question that goes to the heart of Sherry's story,
Yeah.
and one that challenges us to consider a completely different perspective on these encounters.
So instead of being victims, we are active participants in a grand cosmic plan.
That's the idea.
That's a huge leap.
It is.
To go from feeling like a pawn in some alien game
Right.
to realizing you might have actually chosen this path.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
It reframes the entire narrative.
But why?
That's a good question.
Why would anyone choose this?
Right.
What does it mean for the rest of us?
That's what's so fascinating about Sherry's story.
Okay.
It opens up a whole new way of looking at
Okay.
not only alien encounters, but the nature of reality itself.
Okay.
We'll delve deeper into the why
Okay.
and the implications of this volunteer concept
Okay.
as we continue our deep dive into Sherry's extraordinary experiences.
So we left off with this big reveal that Sherry and potentially millions of others volunteered for this earthly mission before being born.
Right.
And I gotta say, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole concept.
Yeah.
It just seems so counterintuitive to choose a life, with this level of difficulty.
Yeah.
Knowing all the challenges that we face as humans.
Absolutely.
Why would anyone,
Yeah.
even from a higher dimension,
Right.
choose to be born into this world with
Yeah.
all its complexities and hardships?
The big question.
What's the motivation?
Right.
What's the bigger picture?
Well, according to Sherry's account, these volunteers originate from realms of existence that are beyond our current understanding.
Okay.
Higher dimensions with different laws of reality.
So these beings saw humanity struggling,
Right.
and they recognized our potential for growth and evolution,
Exactly.
and they felt drawn to help, to contribute to our awakening.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic outreach program almost.
Yeah.
You know?
These higher dimensional beings see us down here messing things up
Yeah.
and think, okay, let's send in some volunteers
Right.
to help these humans evolve.
It's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
And it speaks to this idea that we're not alone in this universe,
Right.
that there might be forces working behind the scenes to guide and support us.
Okay, but even if that's true, why Earth?
Right.
What makes our planet and humanity so special
Yeah.
that these higher dimensional beings would go to such lengths to help us?
Well, Sherry believes that Earth is a unique experiment in consciousness,
Okay.
a melting pot of diverse souls and experiences.
So it's not just about humans evolving.
Right.
It's about consciousness itself expanding and growing
Exactly.
through our experiences.
Yeah, and this grand experiment, it's happening right here on our little blue planet.
Wow, so all of that is fascinating, but let's bring it back to Sherry's personal journey.
Okay.
What happens after she learns about this volunteer concept?
Right.
Does she suddenly remember her pre-birth agreement? Does she start levitating or channeling messages from other dimensions?
It's not quite as dramatic as that.
Okay.
Sherry grapples with this revelation,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make sense of it in the context of her own life.
Okay.
She doesn't suddenly gain superpowers or access to hidden memories.
So even with this incredible cosmic knowledge,
Right.
she doesn't become some enlightened guru.
No, she's still human,
Yeah.
still facing those everyday challenges of life.
It's a refreshingly grounded perspective.
It is.
It makes her story so much more relatable and human.
Absolutely.
And she emphasizes that awakening isn't a destination,
Right.
but a continuous process of growth and evolution.
Yeah, it's about embracing the messy,
Yeah.
unpredictable journey of life,
Mm-hmm.
even with glimpses of these larger truths.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment. It's about being present in the journey
Yeah,
with all its complexities and challenges,
exactly.
recognizing that we're all works in progress,
Mhm.
continually unfolding and discovering who we are.
That's a great way to put it.
And that's perhaps the most valuable takeaway from Sherry Wilde's story.
Yeah,
Whether or not you believe in aliens, abductions, pre-birth agreements,
right.
her journey encourages us to question our assumptions,
Absolutely.
embrace the unknown,
Yeah.
and look within for our own forgotten promises.
It's a call to explore the depths of our own being, to ask ourselves the big questions, about who we are,
Right.
why we're here,
Yeah.
what our unique role might be in this grand cosmic drama.
And recognizing that we all have something to offer,
Mm-hmm.
a unique contribution to make to the evolution of consciousness.
Exactly.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Our deep dive into the extraordinary experiences of Sherry Wilde.
It's a story that stretches the boundaries of belief,
It really does.
challenges our perceptions of reality,
Absolutely.
and ultimately invites us to consider the possibility that we're all part of something much greater than we can imagine.
Yeah, it's a journey that leaves us with more questions than answers,
Right.
which is often the mark of a truly profound exploration.
It is.
And that is the essence of a deep dive.
Yeah.
To emerge from the experience with a renewed sense of wonder, a deeper curiosity about the world, and a greater understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe.
Beautifully said.
So if you find yourself resonating with Sherry's story, even just a little,
Yeah.
maybe it's a sign to do your own exploring. Ask yourself the big questions. What are
Mhm.
you curious about?
Right.
What hidden depths might you discover within yourself?
You never know what forgotten promises you might uncover along the way.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep those deep dives going.
Absolutely. Until next time.